Hi guys, Rhonda without an H here with you again. Today I want to show you a little bit more of my process as I am getting ready to complete this sweet little journal. Okay, I'm not doing a flip through of this just yet, but this just shows you what I'm working on. I've got pockets and I've got a notebook here that I've finished, and I am getting ready to put another notebook in here. And by the way, this particular design, I was inspired by Nick the Booksmith, and I'll put her link in my video below. Okay, so this is what I'm doing for the added cover and journal pages. And what I did for these, and of course, people love to do the tea staining or coffee dyeing, which is fabulous, and I love it too. Just for this particular one, I wanted one that was literally for writing or for artwork, as an art journal or a journal. So much of the time we create these beautiful journals, and I do it too. And I'm not dissing on anybody at all because I just love them. But they're not always super practical for writing, for actually using. And so I thought I'd, give it a go. So these papers, let's see, just a minute. Excuse me, it's earlier in the morning, and so my voice, I still have all those, as you're trying to get your real voice here. Okay, I just picked this up in my dollar store. It had 40 sheets, 9 by 12, or here's the conversion for those of you that do the other measurements. As you can tell, I don't do that. So sorry. Okay, but this is a sketch pad, and it cost me $1, and I bought it, and I cut the sheets in half and to the size that I wanted. And these measure, by the way, we will do that for you. These measure 5 3/4, and we've got to get the width-wise here by 9 inches. Okay, so that pad worked perfectly for me to cut it in half. So instead of 40 sheets, I got 80 sheets. And then I can do, some fun things with that. I could absolutely tea dye or coffee dye this, and that would be fabulous, and I might. And I'm going to go back and pick up a few more of those sketch pads as they come in. Now, when I gave you that measurement, apologies, that's not going to be the finished size of this particular book, this little journal. I'm going to cut it down, but I won't cut this off until I get my cover. Let me explain that a little bit better. Okay, so I have taken one of my lunch sacks. Let's see, just a minute. Like this. I've taken one of my lunch sacks, I've ironed it, I spritz it with water, and then I press it down, do it on both sides, because I like the kind of wrinkly, the wrinkly effect that it gives. And so I start with this, and then I iron it. Don't you guys listen to the crinkle? Ah! Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. And just by spritzing it with water on both sides and ironing it, then when I fold it in half this way, you know, it's got some, it makes the texture. It bumps up the texture. See the difference? I just think it's a fun little tip. Okay, so that's what I do. And then I have adjusted the size to be able to fit in the parameters of my book, of my cover, my journal cover. So I did mine. I did this Midori style or travel notebook style. I love doing that because then you can pop out your pages, you can make inserts and refill. I mean, why not, right? So this was for mine. So you will cut it to whatever size you make your cover so that you can fit it in. If you do what I'm doing, and of course, just as I was inspired, I didn't do anything. I mean, I did the basic like Nick did on hers, but I changed it completely. And it's not, if you saw the two together, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know that that was there. But that's what we do. We get inspiration from other wonderful artists and we do our thing. So after I've done this, then I have cut very carefully around my edges so that I have two parts. This way I can embellish and stitch my inside, and as you can see, I have done a lot of that. Crinkle, crinkle. And I've done the same with the outside. Okay? So then when these are stitched together, I will put my book in, my book, my pages, your journal, whatever, your you know, the insert pages. You see I've got it okay on the top and the bottom, but I have not, like I told you earlier, this will be cut down so that it fits. Excuse me. The reason that I don't do this beforehand is when you stitch, to pull these papers together, it can change just a little bit. You'll pull them in, and I want my edge to be nice and smooth. And I've just found that that's the best way to get that effect after this has been stitched in, whether I'm doing it by hand or whether I'm stitching by my machine. Different methods, whatever you prefer to do that way. And then I will cut this. Okay, so here's another thing for you to consider at this point. When I'm stitching this together, do I want pockets? For instance, I have created a pocket on this one. I've not put my little tags or inserts in here yet, but I've got the pocket. And on the back, as you can see, I also have a pocket. This one I decided I wanted it on the top. So, and I cut out a little used with, if I could think this morning, I used a little punch, a half circle, a circle, and I just put it in just a little ways and cut it. And then, so that the edges weren't sharp, I just trimmed to give it, I just kind of like that soft little edge look. And I haven't put anything in there either. And here's another little tip that I did on this one that I'll show you, is that depending on, like this is the fold, and I just cut here and here. Well, I would. I haven't done anything to this bag yet. And then it would still be attached, but I would be working with the whole thing as one long piece, doing my front and back, and that would give me this folded edge so there wouldn't be a stitch line there. That's just another possibility. Just different things that you can do to achieve the looks that you want. This one I did differently. As you can see, I cut it completely apart. It's easier to work with, but it's not like that hard to do it with one seam together. That would put it together like this, and then I would, of course, do the, you know, these would be blank, and then you'd fill them up, and then you fold it in, and you get your effect. Okay, so I will have to decide what to do with this, if I want pockets or not, and if I want them, do I want them on the side? Do I want them on the top? Do I want one and one like I did on this other one? So that gives you kind of the basic there. So I will decide, do that, and be back. What I did was, did just the opposite. I made a pocket this way on the back, and I'm going to cut or punch my little top here. We'll see how this works. Sometimes you have to be kind of careful because you're punching through other materials and whatnot, but we'll give it a go. We'll see if we can do it. If I can't, then I'll just do it by hand. Okay, so, okay, that is not, okay, that worked, not. You know, sometimes that happens. But it did give me a little bit of a guideline, so I'm just going to freehand this. I am left-handed. Hooray for left-handed scissors and everything else that I didn't know about for so many years. I grew up with my third grade teacher, wonderful lady, Mrs. Levitt, who tried to get me to change my writing. Okay, let me show you here, just real quick, the difference. And they're both cute, just personal style preference. And since I did this one this way, I'm going to trim this as well. Okay, so those will be my pockets. Now we are ready, let me get rid of this, to put our book pages in. I did 10 to 12 to an insert, but that's, on this particular one, that's what I'm doing. This one, I have more. I have probably double that. And this is a writing insert, a guide, so that if someone wants to write and keep their lines beautiful, they can use this. I thought that would just be a fun thing to include. So on this particular one, I have vellum, and then I have the sketch pad paper. A couple of those, and then I have another vellum, and then etc. That goes through the whole journal. So this has double the pages that this other one does. You can just do so many different things. Okay, now what I'm going to do is paper clip there's my see what I'm doing? I'm lining up. Okay, now I am going to stitch, and I'm going to come down about 1/2 inch to start my stitching, and I'm going to stop about 1/2 inch here. And in fact, we'll just You can, you could look at those. We'll pretend this is music going here, but it's really not. And I am increasing my stitch length to a 5, which is rather large. I'm taking my time. You can hear that. Okay, not bad. Okay, so this is another thing that I do as a quilter. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry, because I love quilts and I have enjoyed that journey, and had I not taken that journey, I would not be on my current journey. What I'm doing is I'm square knotting these where they start and stop. I'm pulling up the thread from the back with just, you know, a needle, straight edge, whatever, straight pin will work. And I'm tying it one way and then the other way, which is square knot. And then I'm trimming it. And then I will take off my paper clips. Okay. See how nice that lies? Then what I do is I get my bone folder out and just give it a nice little crease. Now I've got these that I'm ready to trim off. So what I'll look and decide which side I want to go from, and I get my straight edge. Excuse me, my voice again. Just a minute, let me clear my throat. Okay. Here's a little tip for you guys. If you've not done it a lot this way, then I would recommend doing it what I'm showing you right now. I took a ruler or straight edge and I drew my line just at the edge there. So now what I'm going to do is flip it up and I'm going to cut. I'm going to put my straight edge on there again, my ruler. And for this I'm going to stand up and I'm just, with my rotary cutter, I'm just lightly going through. I have found that if I try to press really hard and go through all the layers at one time, it will give a little, it'll do a little bit of wave. But if I just, you know, take several swipes, okay, then it's a different story. Ta-da! Ooh! Isn't that fun? So, and then of course if you want, you can use a corner rounder on your corners. And there you have your little booklet. Let me explain to you why I go down just a little bit. I've found with a sewing machine, now if you're doing the hand binding method, then it's not an issue. But if you're stitching, you want a large stitch, a wide stitch as you can, because the smaller your stitch, the more that's going to perforate your paper. And if you want that to be able to rip pages out or off, then that's a good thing. But if you don't want it perforated to rip, then you want a wide stitch. And if you come down just a little bit from the edge, then with your Midori style, with your elastic, it won't cut in. Your elastic, if you continue clear to the edge on both of these edges, it will have a tendency to want to settle in that stitch line, and you can eventually get a little bit of a tear in that. How do I know that? Oh! I think you know the answer to that. All right. All right, guys. That's all I'm prepared to show you today. I'll do a flip through when I get this completely done. Thanks for watching. I hope this inspires you, gives you some ideas of some fun things that you can do. All right. Till next time. Bye now. Have a fabulous day.